Hello everybody and welcome to today's MLG Pro League action. The group stages are coming to a close and it's getting pretty damn close in the Southeast Asian division, or the Asian division in general I should say. Signature Trust, they can still technically take the top spot. If they win their next 4 individual games, their next 2 games, the next 2 matches, the first one obviously now against Underminer, well, they can take the first spot, and the only team that can really draw up with them is MVP. And that's if they win their next series. So Trust still have a chance to get to that LAN finals, whereas Underminer, they're, battling their way through things. They're currently in the stage where they'll need to re-qualify to get into the Pro League, but they still have the chance. If they win a couple more games, they can get one of those spots that automatically puts them into next season. But in the draft so far, pretty standard from Underminer. Vengeful Spirit and Shadow Fiend go for that minus armor. Go for some of those, strong farming carries like SF, able to keep on with the GPM, keep flash farming away, even if you go behind early in the game. Trust, though, kicking things old school a little bit there with Faceless Void and Skywrath, the first one too. Chronosphere and Mystic Flare, and then over the top of all of that, Sonic Wave from Queen of Pain, so they've definitely got lots of magical burst. But how do their lanes turn out? Quap does okay against SF. It's not really as one-sided as it used to be. SF can turn around, raise, and get a couple of right clicks in there every time you try to land a Shadow Strike. So things can get a little bit difficult for the Queen of Pain at mid lane. Underminer now with their third pick though. Vengeful Spirit, Shadow Fiend. What do you go for next? A Wisp? Huh. Are you looking for the Wisp Tiny? Or do you think you're just going to go for the Wisp and play him based on his own merits? But Underminer, they banned out the Axe and the Anti-Mage. AM, a hero that Trust are very successful with. Lakel's on his Anti-Mage and Spectre. He just goes absolutely nuts on the farm. Even when we've seen him play Medusa, all of a sudden he has a bunch of items that you really don't expect him to pick up.
Witch Doctor.
And then the last two there were Batrider and Storm, while Trust taking out the Troll Warlord, Razor, Earthshaker, and Phoenix. Razor is He's a hero that we're seeing more and more of in Southeast Asia. Razor and Viper are definitely coming back into fashion. They like getting a nice early lead. Get mech, get a couple of stat items up on these heroes, and then just run at people. Dive towers, get kills, and just try and limit the item progression of your enemy. I feel like that's how the Southeast Asian, or a lot of the SEA teams, are starting to play now. They know that having a lead isn't the be-all and end-all of the game. Because that lead can be taken away in one fell swoop of your opponents if they get a couple of kills. If they kill off your one-roll carry with a couple of their heroes. They move 3 people to kill 1 guy, and all of a sudden they get 6,000 experience, 3,000 gold. And they get a massive portion of your lead back. And things can start to snowball in the opposite direction. So we're seeing a lot of teams get that early lead and really capitalize on it. European squads, they tend to overtake the enemy jungle, limit farm that way, where you control momentum on the lanes and you push them out or you hold them back depending on where you want to go. If you hold them back, it means that your opponent has nowhere to farm. They have to go to you to get last hits. If you push them forward, it means that you're going into towers and you are basically in the creep wave. So again, they have to come to you.
Weaver.
But SEA teams, they don't care about that. They go under towers to find kills. Oh, wow. Morphling Wisp. So, Underminer here looks like they're going to go for the Wisp Bristleback off lane, have Morphling safe with the Vengeful Spirit, then Shadow Fiend mid. But I think this Venge has to really move around between safe lane and mid. Her job is going to be keeping both of those heroes alive and safe. Now, it looks like Trust are swapping up some of their roles here. My pro is usually their mid, and I'm not really expecting a Void to go mid against the Shadow Fiend. That would be kind of interesting. But I'm pretty sure it will be the Quap with the Skywrath Mage there. Just put the Skywrath on the enemy ramp and harass down the SF the first couple of levels, so he doesn't get the early souls. If you stop him from farming up or getting last hits on the first 2 waves or so, that's when Queen of Pain, she hits level 2, gets to level 3, and starts to put the pressure onto that Shadow Fiend. And Lakel's picking up Weaver. A hero that we don't see at all anymore, really. Super squishy, doesn't really help split push too much, but in the way that I was just explaining the SEA teams like to play, he is so good at joining fights early, diving towers. He's not like a carry that needs a whole bunch of items to suddenly like, okay, it's time to fight. 25 minutes in, I feel safe actually going in here and fighting. He can go for a couple of stat items early, then build into, Desolator, things like that. Lincolns, I'm not sure if he desperately needs a Lincolns up against this squad. I mean, Nasal Goo is just going to pop it anyway. Going to be decent against the Magic Missile and Swap. Maybe the Adaptive Strike as well. Oh. No, yeah. See, I was wondering about this Wisp Bristleback offlane, but I always forget that Morphling can be used as a supporter in offlane as well. And it looks like that's what's going to happen here. Brown Boots Observe Ward, some regen for boys. So he's going to be building up into that sort of utility Morphling. Tranquil Boots, Soul Ring, get a Blink Dagger. Jump into team fights with that Adaptive Striker. That's a 4.25 second stun. At level 4, yeah. It's pretty crazy. Well, does he go safe lane? Because it's so nice to have Bristleback and Wisp applying pressure on this bot lane, just, getting up in the face of your enemy. One of the things about Dota 2 is that your settings carry over. So welcome everyone in Dota TV to Underminer versus Signature Trust in the MLG Pro League. I turned off open mic at home and luckily Hex 1000 in chat reminded me. So thank you for that. So now, audible in Dota TV. AA, like I said, Queen of Pain going mid against the Shadow Fiend. Not really too surprising. Skarath is wandering around. But they have switched up their roles a bit here. Boombell up on top lane with Lakels. So Trust trying to play the mind games here, it looks like. Vissam and Wisp, or Vissam and JNY on this Bristleback and Wisp will be heading up this bot dual lane off lane against MyPro and the Void. Cloud on the SF, up against that Queen of Pain, then boys. Safe lane Morphling, and he's going utility morph up against Boombell and Witch Doctor. Lakels on the Weaver, and now CK stacking up. Try and build up as much. Did he just use wave? Okay. Stacking up both camps at once? Yeah. Yeah. You can potentially stack 3 camps at once, but it gets a little more, it gets a little difficult with Avenge. Wisp it's a lot easier because, initially you can cut down these trees here. I'm kind of surprised they didn't do that to start off with. Because Venge could, stack this camp, hit this camp, and then wave this camp. So you actually pull 3 camps at once. Cask goes down to boys and he has to waveform himself away. Initial 2 bounty runes went to Queen of Pain and Shadow Fiend, so the 2 mids heading up their bottle as quickly as they possibly can. SF went for the full-on rush though, so he's got the potential race spam to just come out straight away. Whereas the Queen of Pain, Null gives you some nice right-click attacks, but now Shadow Fiend has level 2 raises. I'm not sure what you look to accomplish here. Overall though, 9 last hits and 7 denies for Shadow Fiend with 9 for 3 on the Weaver. But this bot lane is not easy for MyPro. Even with the poor man shield, he has to sustain through so many quill sprays, getting harassed down by the Wisp as well. Actually, JNY looking to harass out the Skarath for a little bit. Tethering over to Vissam and they'll steal this pull spot. And this is the position that Queen of Pain used to find herself in. Well, this is the position where Queen of Pain used to put herself in when this matchup was a little more even or favored towards the co-op. You stand up on the high ground and you shadow strike the enemy. But now Shadow Fiend has the extra damage and raises, and I think it comes down to the confidence of players now with SF. Because there was this mindset that Shadow Fiend is super squishy and can't really do too much in a 1 versus 1 lane early on. But now at level 3, he's such a dominant force in the lane that even heroes like TA and Queen of Pain get crushed by him. Waveform from boys onto Lakels, but they've got no sentries or anything to spot out the Weaver. Overall, how are we looking? Weaver with 20 last hits, so he's leading the board there. The Bristleback, obviously, with the pulls and stacks and things from the Scarth Mage, you can't keep up as well as this free-farming Weaver, who just keeps on diving boys over and over again. But he's done a decent job getting 6 for 1. Mid lane, though. Oh, boy, oh, boy. Cloud finds Boombell. The stun goes down, but he's got to come. Oh, the bounces are unreal! Catching Cloud a bunch of times, and Boombell looks like he might escape, but the first blood goes to Trust. Cloud can't get another raise down, but holy crap. The Witch Doctor Cask bouncing from a high ground to Shadow Fiend 3 times. Witch Doctor had no right to be alive there. One raise would have finished him off, but Cloud has to seriously be thinking, what the hell did I do wrong this week to deserve such a bounce? And then because the raises were expended, AABBAA just jumps in there, gets the scream down, and finishes off the Wisp. And with Visum left alone on the spot lane up against Void, it's still one-sided in favor of the Bristleback, but he's getting harassed down quite a bit. MyPro has stick charges. Oh, Wisp comes in. Level 2 Void Walk, though. We'll be able to get MyPro away, while on top lane, Boombell finds a kill on the Morphling with the help of Lakels. Now, what does Lakels build? Is he still going into Lincolns? Cloud in mid lane, stick charges, turns back around, gonna get harassed and killed here by the Queen of Pain. No, just about falls, but now AABBA wishes he hadn't turned around. Blink off cooldown in a second, will just about manage to get out, and finally picks up his bottle. But the stick charge is there from the Shadow Fiend, allowing him to survive through the Skyrath, who was obviously thinking, hey look, I'm gonna trade my life for yours, I don't care, I've got this kill. But Queen of Pain had to get back in there. He was forced to turn back around and wasting a lot of HP, a lot of resources to actually do so. The Quap is so far behind right now. And she can potentially flash farm with the Scream of Pain. But item progression for Queen of Pain is so important. Getting those early treads. Building up into that early Orchid. Oh, they've baited it. JNY going for the rune, but going to get taken out by 4 members of Trust. Smoking up to defend a rune spot. Now, that's not something you see every day. Top lane, Lakels fighting up against boys still. Just trading hits here and there as the Weaver. This is a pretty old school build. You go for the belt for the extra strength just to pad out your HP a little bit. Obviously, it takes you takes you away from that 600 HP mark where you're a little bit worried about getting stunned up, silenced and nuked down. Ring of Health, so you can run up this high to harass down boys. Look, you can literally walk through the creep wave, get some hits in, and it doesn't matter too much if he waveforms, because, you know, he's wasting mana, he's wasting cooldowns. Oh, MyPro. He's got Chrono and Time Walk, so he should be fine for now. And Cloud knows that there's a couple of heroes missing, so he's definitely able to just move into the jungle, stack up, take a couple of camps. Looking at the dire warding, in fact. That is really defensive around that Shadow Fiend. They know that if they can get this SF a good early start, he's going to snowball out of control, and Queen of Pain won't really stand a chance. So placing these wards all around A, mid lane, but also B, the jungle. Because you've got a couple of heroes that would like to just jump into the jungle, take down some stacked camps, and farm their way to victory. Underminer know they don't need to be too aggressive early on. They don't have such great long-range initiation, they can't find pickoffs in the jungle or anything like that. Much of their lineup revolves around flash farming, keeping things going, getting level 6 on the Wisp especially. So then you can maybe move the Bristleback around the map, try and counteract anything that Trust tried to do. Because on the complete opposite side of the spectrum, Trust are the kind of team that want to go and make things happen early. They've got a Chrono, Sonic Wave, Mystic Flare, and about a level and a half. Vissum battling it up between two heroes. Look at that. Void and Scarth coming out the worst there. As the Bristol picks up his treads and well on his way to Vanguard. Top lane here being dived. CK on the Vengeful Spirit. Maledict's placed on him and Lakel's going to go in there with the last right click to finish him off. Pretty much nothing in it right now. So no team has the massive advantage. Trust have been finding kills. Oh. Finding kills like that. Wisp and Bristleback both going down there. Weaver time-lapsing back. And running through boys. But yeah, it doesn't look like anything's going to happen for a while. I was going to say that there's nothing in it. Trust have been finding kills, but Underminer finding the farm they need. In one movement there from the Faceless Void with Chrono, they do take down the Bristleback and the Wisp, giving themselves a decent XP and gold lead. JNY now going to go down to mid lane. Scarth, Mage, and Queen of Pain making short work of that little ball of fun. I wonder what Cloud builds into. No Yules, just going straight into the Blink Dagger. We're seeing a resurgence of things like Shadowblade and BKB Rush, but usually the BKB comes out if you're a little bit behind. Blink in SEA teams, I don't know, rushing that is a little bit risky. Maybe because he's against the Faceless Void and Queen of Pain, if he sees them blinking in, or if he hears the animation, then he's just going to try and blink out before they can cast any spells. But against Scream of Pain, that's not an easy feat. Especially when you have to turn around to blink as well. Midas on that Weaver. It does allow him to just continue building up GPM, and like I was saying, he doesn't have that flash farm capability that a lot of Underminer's heroes do have. What does that offer them in the mid game? Because right now, Underminer are hitting one of their peaks. They've got Morphling level 7, so he's got level 3 in Adaptive Strike. Shadowfiend has Blink. The Wisp has... Okay, he's not level 6, so they don't have Relocate. But, yeah. I don't know. I guess he's not looking to join fights anytime soon, so he'll be standing on this top lane, just keeping the farm going while battling up against whoever comes against him. Deep Observer place, so they can watch for movements through the jungle. And Trust, they've got 3 heroes in the top 4 of net worth there. Top 5, obviously, there is the Bristleback with about 3,700. But if Underminer put all their eggs in this one Shadowfiend basket, they have to play so defensively around him. Obviously, Bristle is great at getting up there in the front lines. They've got the minus armor from Goo, Presence of the Dark Lord, and the Wave of Terror from Vengeful Spirit. Speaking of Vengeful Spirit, on the wrong side of the river, and I'm kind of surprised that no Mystic Flare has been dropped, and as I say it, Scarth Mage drops the Mystic Flare onto absolutely no one. He made sure the river took a lot of damage there, but the Vengeful Spirit escaping without too many wounds. So Void is going to be the brawler here, it looks like, for Trust, and fight with the rest of his team while Weaver farms up a little bit. JNY does have a tether and gets back to the creep, but MyPro Mask Commanders Chrono dropped as well. Do they go for Cloud? Do they just bail? Death Ward is thrown down. Cloud dropping to half HP. Witch Doctor gets hit by the Adaptive Strike and finished off by a couple of razors there. That was kind of odd because MyPro popped the Chrono, finished off the Wisp, and then ran for the hills. If he had maybe tried to kill the Shadowfiend, I don't know if they could kill him. Damage output is kind of limited from this Faceless Void when Mask of Manus is running out. Scarth Mage kills Vengeful Spirit, but I'm just watching MyPro here get stunned up, and then a blink forward from Cloud. This ward, MVP. But there's the blink in action. I did doubt it a little bit. It seemed relatively risky compared to just going straight up Yules and possibly finding solo kills on the Queen of Pain. But when you've got level 4 Adaptive Strike, boys can close the gap with Waveform, stun someone up for 4.5 seconds almost, then Cloud blinks in with the triple razors or Requiem of Souls onto someone, Boom Bell instantly dewarding. Okay, they saw the void. We know there's a ward up here. Lakel's super ballsy play, getting in there between tier 1 and tier 2. Well, there's no tier 1 remaining, but diving pretty far when there's a Bristleback nearby. CK. Do they have level 6 on Wisp yet? Yes, they do. Just about. So they do have the relocate potential where they're going to have Wisp and Bristleback pushing up against the Weaver. Just try and limit how much space he's getting. Oh, Boom Bell. The cast bouncing from Bristleback to Wisp, but the Witch Doctor's already dead. Visum with the Vanguard, just running straight at that lonely support. And then you've got Boys, who was looking for an Adaptive Strike. Cloud had Blink. His mana a little limited, but with Bottle and Stick Charges, he had enough. Chrono now onto Cloud. Adaptive Strike, though, holding out MyPro. Sonic Wave and the Mystic Flare will finish off the Shadow Fiend. Oh, man. Bristleback and Wisp joining the fray. This is the relocate Bristleback that we're talking about. Queen of Pain does take down that Wisp, but now Visum, Malediction Death Ward. More than enough damage to finish that poor little guy. MyPro is still chasing down CK, getting pushed back behind his tier 1 as Lakel's takes the last Shikuchi damage onto him. Good fight overall there for Trust. About a 2,000 gold swing, you know, close enough to. But that XP swing is the big one. The fact that Underminer have been farming for the majority of the game and their levels aren't that great. It's the same again as the net worth graph. 11, 11, and 10. On these 3 core heroes. So how close is Void to level up? He's halfway to his level 2 ultimate. You have the Shadow Fiend level 12, fair enough. But his item progression is being stalled over and over. And you know with 2 core lineups like this, the Morphling is a full utility hero. He's not really offering any DPS. He's walking around trying to get waveform damage down and stun with the Adaptive Strike. Trust knows if they can solo down the Shadow Fiend, there's very little Underminer can do. Maybe Bristleback cleans up. But Maledict and Death Ward are a very potent combination up against that Bristle. So Underminer here, they want to try and bring something back. MyPro stunned up. Ray's going to miss there. Cloud not landing it, but the extra 2 should be able to enough to finish off that Void. But there's the power of Adaptive Strike. I thought maybe Cloud jumps in with a Requiem, but he didn't really need it. The stun from that Morphling is absolutely nuts. But now Trust, they're going for a smoke of their own. In onto Visum. Plenty of spells thrown down onto him. I mean, the Maledict and Mystic Flare were probably going to be enough, but you want to kill him as quickly as possible so there's no reaction from Wisp relocating in the Shadow Fiend or the Morphling, and then getting multiple stuns onto heroes like Queen of Pain. What item build are we seeing from Quap? He's still going for the Aghanims. This is one of the few games where I really do like Aghs on Quap. Because you've got a Faceless Void with a Chronosphere, who potentially will go Aghs later on into the game, you've got, multiple spells that you can couple up with that Chrono Lockdown. And with the reduced cooldown on the Sonic Wave, you can just keep pumping that damage out. Cloud blinking into the trees. They wanted to smoke up again. Maybe go for Roche? Well, that's what Trust are thinking. They're picking Roche. They want to smoke up. It's just smoke after smoke from these teams. Underminer go for the first smoke, but a little bit slower this time. Bristleback baiting out at the Ancient Pit. This is 4 heroes from Trust walking into 5 of UDMN though. Boys get silenced up. The Chrono not landing on anyone. As Requiem of Soul's going to finish off the Queen of Pain with a couple of right clicks. Trust gonna wish they hadn't joined in this team fight. MyPro's stuck in the trees actually as Lakells has finally entered the fray. Gets the swarm down onto Cloud and a bunch of others. Gets some right clicks in as well. But Vissam, the vanguard of the Bristleback, just allowing him to tank up and fight through and finish off Lakells on that Weaver. And that's a free Roche for them. I want to know what this fight recap says. Big change. 2,500 gold. 3,100 experience just from those 2 kills. Weaver and Queen of Pain means so much to Trust. But again, it all comes down to that bait. Just imagine for a second. Underminer had smoked up straight away. Shadow Fiend didn't get caught in the trees. He blinked here, and they smoked and ran. Would they go into the Roche pit? Would they bait around Ancients? Would they stay high ground? Because if they had gone into Roche, that would have been perfect for Trust. They run down this hill, they find the Bristleback standing here somewhere, and then they chrono the Roche pit. But the fact that Underminer, with that one little mistake from Shadow Fiend, actually won them the team fight because of the timing of it. Obviously, it's difficult to tell. Like I was asking the question, where would they actually go with that smoke if Shadow Fiend hadn't done that? But you never know. Is that Crimson Guard? He's got the Buckler as well as the Vanguard. Cloud blinking away from Lakells. And Lakells is going back into the Lincolns with that Midas. Where is the Bristleback? Where have you gone, buddy? He went Vanguard, then into Sanj. And now it looks like he's going Crimson Guard. It could be a mech, though. And I really wouldn't be surprised to see a mech on this Bristleback. It's really good coupled up with the Wisp. Obviously, whoever the Wisp is tethering up, they get double healed. And you're dealing with quite a lot of burst damage. If Shadow Fiend does get caught in the Chrono and then have a multitude of spells thrown down on him, that mech with the tether could keep him alive for long enough to get out, pop Requiem, and turn the fight around. Maybe even BKB and blink out. Yeah, that one fight there, demolishing Signature Trust's lead. So Underminer with those 2 kills, bringing themselves closer to even. But Trust farming decently. Lakells has finished off his Lincoln Sphere after the Midas. He's kind of got to go damage next. They're dealing with some tanky old heroes right now. Bristleback, the tankiest of them all. Crimson Guard, okay. So he decides not to go for the mech. Crimson Guard is going to be his item of choice. Oh. They've got no one to follow up. So it looks like Trust just want to split push for a little bit now. Boys. Blink Dagger for him is going to be next. And when you've got Blink and Waveform, finding the stun on Queen of Pain isn't that difficult. Right. Trust, what do you do to bring yourselves back into this game? Pick-off potential's pretty high. Chronosphere and Sonic Wave, they can hunt for pretty much anyone. They're going to find Vissam and JNY here. The Wisp is the one they really want, though, but Vissam is the one that they found. Tether, relocate. Oh, it's cancelled! He went into the Chrono and he got cancelled by it. Vissam now pops his Crimson Guard. He's getting healed up and tethered. Keeps on trucking through all the damage. Lakells just about gets the time lapse off there as Boys was looking for the Adaptive Strike. Can he get it? Nope. Not quite in time, but holy crap. That Bristleback survived through everything. Okay, Sonic Wave wasn't thrown there. That kind of surprises me. Surely it gets to the point where you just want to finish him off. Oh man. See ya! Requiem of Souls onto the Queen of Pain. Does manage to blink across, and Boys finishes him off with the waveform. Cloud popping the BKB there is a little bit interesting. I guess with the fact that Dire don't really have any deeper vision, they don't know exactly where the rest of the team are. He could have got slanced up, stunned. Both of their wards are in fact around this jungle. So they're doing very well at choke holding Signature Trust here out, just limiting how much farm they can get. Adaptive Strike, Boom Bell, stunned up, still stunned, dead. Lakel's trying to find the Wisp here. Lincoln has popped and he keeps on chasing. JNY probably going to drop to one more right click. Lakel's pops the time lapse and manages to get himself back to the safety of the tier 2. But look, here comes the rest of UDMN. The Underminer Cavalry taking down the Skyeyes with another Adaptive Strike. That 10-second cooldown roar, basically, from Morphling, played by Boys. And he's got to wait for him in another couple of seconds. Standing still, it looks like he's baiting out Signature Trust just to try and go on him. Swap back from CK onto Vissam. Bristleback going to be saved there. As my pro, no bash. Vissam, no bash. No chrono. Nothing is stopping Underminer right now. This is one of the troubles with Weaver in the current meta. I was talking about him diving towers and joining team fights early. But Lakel's is a player that likes his farm. Playing Spectre, Anti-Mage and Medusa in a lot of his games. He likes to keep that GPM flowing. And right now, I'm sure he's pretty glad he went for the Midas. Oh, they see the Bristleback replicate. He walks through their ranks. Now they turn back onto Vissam. Chrono popped. Does catch 2, in fact. CK swaps the Bristleback and now Clad with the Requiem. He blinks forward into the midst of everyone. Takes down the Witch Doctor and then the Void with another raise. Boys is looking forward. Gets taken out by Queen of Pain though. The DD and Scream going to be more than enough to finish off that Morphling. Where is the rest of Underminer though? Shadow Fiend's on his own. Okay, here comes the Wisp with the tether, keeping the SF alive. Time lapse back from Lakel's, but it's straight into the Bristleback's face. Okay, Skywrath. He's got the Force Staff and manages to get himself far enough away from the Bristol that he'll survive this. I'm not sure who that was a fight in favor of. Yeah, it was pretty close. I don't think anyone really came out on top in that fight. So you lose the Void and the Witch Doctor, but Underminer lose the Morphling and Venge. And because Underminer, I guess we're a little bit behind, they've now started to swing things back. Very back and forth game. Oh man, my pro has had his item progression pretty much halted completely. Mask of Mana's treads were relatively early, but his BKB has been stopped every step of the way. Even Kaneki has a Force Staff. Queen of Pain, Aghanims, and then I'm assuming Lincolns. I'm pretty sure you go Lincolns here. Oh, that's a good point. Very early on, I was wondering whether Lakel's wants to go Lincolns because I was saying, you know, there's Nasal Goo. It's just going to pop your Lincolns every time you go forward. But Adaptive Strike is such a potent ability that you need Lincolns. You actually need Lincolns. Underminer going for a little wander through the Radiant jungle. Hunting for anyone, boys. Blinks forward. He's not going to find anyone, though. Queen of Pain. Oh, man. Adaptive Strikes there. Cloud now. BKB and Requiem. Full staff, though. Very nice from the Skyeyes. Actually takes the Queen of Pain out to the danger zone as Cloud swapped back by the by CK on the Vengeful Spirit. Now Bristleback fighting up against AABBA. He's got no blink. He's got no mana. He's got no fans. And Kaneki takes a race to the face. Underminer. Underdogs? Trust were definitely my favorites to come in here and, you know, to take it 2-0. Mainly just because of how well they've played in the past couple of weeks. But also because they need these wins. I thought that the psychological factor would be there for Trust, just to, you know, say to themselves, okay, we've got a chance to get that grand final spot. Or the LAN final spot. If we win the rest of our games. Dropping a game here, it doesn't put them out of reach. But it definitely doesn't help. By no means are they down and out. The lead that Underminer have isn't that huge. I feel it's just the item progression from Trust is that little bit too far behind. Weaver has no real damage, which is why now he's going for a Desolator. But that's still a fair distance away from being picked up. I've already mentioned Faceless Void and his BKB at 29 minutes, so he's finally finished it off. That means now he can get a Chronosphere off unimpeded. Previously he was going in, getting a Chrono down onto the Shadow Fiend, but Vengeful Spirit in place to swap the SF out. Adaptive Strike from the Morphling, saving anyone who's caught in it. Look how hard it is to kill this Morphling. '83 strength. With close to 2,000 HP, do you actually want to try and focus down the Morphling? He's such a difficult target to take. Oh man. Cloud on the high ground here. They're watching everything unfold, boys. Getting Silent Stop, another Chrono on 2. Finally, MyPro gets in there with something he can call his own. But Requiem, who's going to catch, tries to demolish the Weaver, but he time-lapses just in time. Boombell will be the second to fall. Morphling is brought back and does enter the fray. MyPro has a time walk over the cliff, but boys is still chasing. Lakel's stun? Nope. Lincoln's cancelers. MyPro, one more raise. That Lincoln's has been of vital importance to Lakel's. Cancelling out that adaptive strike. And Underminer though. Not too much in the way of gold change because of that Morphling buyback. About 900 gold swing. Wait, what? Okay, apparently Lakel's just found the Wisp and said, hello, goodbye. Is there anything on the courier? No. Is there anything on the ground? Also no. Queen of Pain jumps forward, tries to do some harass to Cloud, but the amount of damage he takes back is just far too much to warrant that kind of aggression. Underminer do have a pretty strong lead here. Bristleback with Sanjin Yasha, and it looks like he's going into a heart next, saving up enough gold for Reaver and buyback. Wisp, does he finish off the mech? He's pretty close. I mean, Vengeful Spirit isn't that rich, but you don't need it to be. Wisp is almost on par with the Scarth, so, you know, we can pretty much discount all four supports in the difference between the two teams. Because overall, it's down to the cause. Shadow Fiend with 20,000. A lot of the gold lead that Underminer have is in this SF. In fact, pretty much their entire lead can be counted as the difference between SF and Weaver right now. So, even though Underminer look very dominant right now and pushing into towers, sure, they've got a decent high ground breaking lineup and can potentially just go in there, burst someone down. The defender's advantage is here. Weaver and Queen of Pain have buyback. The Void doesn't though. Oh, who have they found? They go for the adaptive strike down onto Boombell, but then get the hell out. Sonic Wave's thrown down onto the Creep Wave. Not really catching too much else. I just keep looking at MyPro because they need a big Chronosphere here. He is the one hero. Oh, except Lakel's Finds JNY. They finished off the Wisp. Time lapse and Lincoln's. Okay. They've baited out Crimson Guard. They've managed to find Kaneki though. UDMN getting one pretty big kill. Death Ward gonna get placed. Visum taking the brunt of the damage. But boys, joins in the team fight. Requiem gonna finish off the Witch Doctor with that magic AoE damage as MyPro stunned up and locked down. No buyback available for the two supports. The Faceless Void can re-enter. But that chrono didn't really catch anyone of importance. Bristleback is not the target you want to be going for. 33 minutes in and Trust are getting dismantled here. Look at this play from Cloud. He knows that they're so far ahead he can just go straight in. Bristleback dies. Oh man, the stun. He's dead. The Lincolns was on cooldown for another couple of seconds. Buys back and time lapses in. CK gonna get killed by Lakells. Weaver making the plays here as Cloud slows him with a Skadi. And Replicate gets made of him by the Morphling. I don't know, Lakells. This is risky. One big thing here for Trust. They lost their melee barracks and that's it. Underminer went for the really greedy play and tried to go for tier 3 and mid to push their advantage even further. It didn't quite work out that way. But you can see there, Underminer, knowing they have a decent lead, they need to start closing out this game. Turn the lead into objectives. But at this point, Shadow Fiend is incredibly difficult to kill. Without MKB on the Weaver, Creed of Pain can't really go for it. I guess with their Hex, they could potentially bring the SF down. Lakells with 3,000 gold doesn't have buyback anymore, so he needs to buy up a big item. And this is probably something that Underminer are banking on. They know the Weaver doesn't have buyback for another 5.5 minutes, so they can push into tier 3's mid, bot. Momentum at mid definitely needs to be addressed though. So while Underminer are planning how to close out the game, Trust, they've got to think of something that brings them back into the game. It looks like that's a smoke through the dire jungle even. Look for a pick-off. Find an important kill. Force a buyback or force some kind of movement back from Underminer. Because even if you force back like the Wisp relocating the Shadow Fiend into the jungle, losing a couple of supports isn't that big a deal. But they're not going to do that. They realize there's no one there. The push is happening from Underminer. They're going to find CK here. Lakells gets the swarm down onto 2. Cloud, BKBs. But it gets Chrono. Sonic Wave now over the both of them. Mystic Flare drops on the Visum, but not onto the Shadow Fiend. Both of their cores are just surviving through all of this. Cloud will finally go down though. A Butterfly making it a little bit tricky for MyPro. Lakells gets nuked down, and now in comes the Wisp, tethering up Visum. The Bristleback just hammering away at people. Queen of Pain is going to be the one that falls there. As Shadow Fiend is brought back, purchases Boots of Travels, and it comes straight back into the fight. No buyback for Weaver or Queen of Pain. Skywrath, Witch Doctor, and Faceless Void look like they're the only heroes really left to defend up against this. But they're losing mid-racks. They're probably going to lose bot-racks as well. And Underminer, with that really solid overall draft. It's nothing fancy. They've got the Vengeful Spirit, Shadow Fiend, minus armor, and Magic Nuke combo. They've got the Bristleback Wisp, heavy sustain combo. The only unusual pick really was the Morphling. But he has done an excellent job. It meant that the Shadow Fiend could go straight blink with the 4.25 seconds stun on Adaptive Strike. It meant that there was that extra bit of magic damage. They're also baiting with Replicate. It allows them to make a replicate of the Bristleback and just send him in there. Force out spells from Trust. Everything from Underminer's draft has really worked out to perfection. Yeah, GG is called. On the other hand, Trust, they had a pretty good showing. Queen of Pain did decently against the Shadow Fiend. It was just... I don't know, the Weaver and the Faceless Void, they didn't really combo up together. There was no synergy between those two heroes. Lakel's was farming, Faceless Void was trying to fight, and that delayed the item progression on Void. It meant that Lakel's didn't really offer too much impact early on into the game. But that's game number 1, guys, between Underminer and Trust. We'll be back in a couple of minutes with game number 2.